Hey everyone, welcome back. I still remember the sound of the phone buzzing on my nightstand. 2:14 a.m. The kind of hour when only bad news travels. My hands trembled as I reached for it, heart racing, a pit forming in my stomach before I even unlocked the screen. There it was, a message from an unknown number. You need to see what your wife has been doing tonight. Attached was a video file. My breath hitched. I tapped it open, telling myself it was probably a mistake. Some cruel prank, a wrong number, anything but what my gut already feared. The video played in shaky, low light. And there she was, my wife, Clara. The woman I had loved for 7 years, married for 5, sacrificed my dreams for, defended in every argument, built a life with. But this wasn't the Clara I knew. This was a version of her I had never seen. Laughing, flushed, surrounded by a crowd of men. Too many to count at first, but the longer I watched, the more horrifyingly clear it became. They were cheering, touching, degrading her in ways that made bile rise in my throat. It wasn't a drunken mistake. It wasn't a spur-of-the-moment kiss at a bar. It was something orchestrated, deliberate. And the worst part, she looked like she was enjoying every second of it. The next morning, Clara walked in as if nothing had happened. Her hair was messy, makeup smeared just enough to look like a late night with friends. She set her bag on the table, smiled at me and said, "Morning, babe. You're up early." I didn't answer. I just stared at her, really stared, as if trying to find traces of the woman I had once trusted more than anyone else. "Where were you?" I asked finally, my voice too calm, too steady. She blinked. "I told you, remember? Jenna's birthday. We went clubbing. I might have crashed at her place for a bit." I slid my phone across the table. Her eyes flicked to it, then froze. The color drained from her face. "Clara," I said, "tell me that isn't you." She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. "Who sent you this? That's what you're worried about. Who sent it?" My voice cracked now, anger bubbling under my ribs. "Not that you did this. It's not what it looks like," she whispered, though her hands were shaking so violently she had to grip the chair. The weeks that followed were a blur of shattered routines and sleepless nights. I moved out of our bedroom. She tried to explain, said it was a mistake, said she was drunk, said they pressured her, then said she wanted to experiment, then said it was revenge for how absent I'd been during her mother's illness. Every day the story changed. But the video didn't. The video never changed. It became a prison in my pocket, one I couldn't stop opening, as if watching it again and again might somehow make it hurt less. Friends started asking questions. Her co-workers whispered. Someone uploaded clips online. And the humiliation spread like wildfire. I stopped going to work for a week, unable to bear the smirks and pitying looks. And Clara stopped being the villain. Suddenly she was the victim. Blogs called her brave for reclaiming her body. Strangers online defended her. "It's just sex. Men do worse all the time." Meanwhile, I was painted as the bitter husband who couldn't handle a liberated woman. One night, 3 months after the video, she left. No note. Just gone. I found out later she'd gone to another city. "To start over," she said in a single cold text message. That should have been the end of it. Filed for divorce. We signed the papers. She kept her name, her dignity in the press, her new followers online who called her fearless and empowered. Kept the house. And the ghost. 2 years passed. I rebuilt myself piece by piece. Therapy. New job. I even started dating again, though no one ever got close enough to touch the scar she left behind. Then one autumn afternoon I saw her again. She was standing outside my office building, hair longer now, dressed in sharp black heels and a fitted coat. She looked different, calmer, colder. "Michael," she said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "It's been a while." Froze. "Clara, what are you doing here?" "I came to thank you," she said simply. "For what?" "Ruining my life." I almost laughed. She tilted her head. "For setting me free." That evening she told me everything, or at least enough to make my blood run cold. The night of that video hadn't been a wild mistake. It had been a setup, one she'd walked into willingly, desperate for validation, manipulated by a group of men who promised her fame, money, a way out of what she called our boring, predictable life. But they hadn't just used her. They filmed her, branded her, mocked her, and tossed her aside when the world turned its back. She'd spent the next 2 years remaking herself. Therapy, new career, new connections. And now, she said, she was ready to make them pay. They ruined my name, she said, eyes glinting with something dark. But they didn't finish me. And why tell me this? I asked, still reeling. Because, Michael, you filmed it. My heart stopped. What? They told me you hired them. That you set it up. That it was your revenge for the things I said when your father died. Her voice broke, for the first time sounding like the woman I used to know. I believed them. That's why I didn't fight the divorce. That's why I left. I stared at her, stunned. Clara. I didn't even know until that night. Why would I destroy the woman I married? The silence between us was thick. 2 years of hatred built on a lie neither of us had written. Her revenge began slowly. Exposés. Private investigators digging up the men who'd orchestrated that night, the site that had profited off her humiliation, the sponsors who had quietly taken their cut. I watched from a distance. At first out of morbid curiosity, then out of something else. Pride maybe. Pity. Sometimes she'd call. Sometimes I'd answer. We didn't talk about us. That part was gone. A casualty of a night neither of us truly understood until it was too late. A year later she won. The ringleaders were arrested on charges ranging from extortion to trafficking. The site was shut down. Compensation was paid. Not nearly enough, but something. And Clara. She started a foundation for women who'd been exploited like her. She became a name whispered with respect, not mockery. The world called her reborn. I called her a ghost I'd finally stopped hating. One rainy night she came to my door again. No cameras. No press. Just Clara. No heels this time, no sharp words, just a woman with tired eyes. I don't want to fix the past, she said quietly. But I wanted you to know the truth before I leave for good. I nodded, throat tight. You found your revenge. She smiled faintly. I found myself. And just like that she was gone. I stood in the doorway long after her taillights disappeared. There was no fairy tale ending. No dramatic kiss in the rain. Just closure, raw, imperfect but real. Sometimes that's the only kind of ending life gives you. The end.